Okay, good morning, class. I hope you guys are doing fine. And today, I'm going to tell you a lesson about reported speech. What is reported speech? Reported speech is when you tell somebody else what you or a person said before. Distinction must be made between direct speech and reported speech. Example of direct speech versus reported speech. Direct speech. She says, I like tuna fish. And in reported speech, become she says that she likes tuna fish. And next example is when the direct speech example is she said I'm visiting Paris next weekend. So in reported speech it's become she said that she was visiting Paris for the following weekend. Okay, that's the difference between direct speech and reported speech. So next I'm going to tell you the different types of sentences. When you use reported speech, you either report first statements, second is questions, the third is requests or comments, and the fourth is other types. Okay, we're going to statements or reporting statements. When transferring statements, check whether you have to change. First, pronouns. Second, tense. Third, place and time expression. Okay, we're going to pronouns. In reported speech, you often have to change the pronoun depending on who says what. Example, she says my dad like roast chicken. She says that her dad like roast chicken. That's the example. And we're going to tenses. Second one. If the sentence starts in the present, there is no back shift of tenses in reported speech. If the sentences start in the past, there is often back shift of tenses in reported speech. Here below the example. Direct speech with no back shift. I write poems. Reported speech with no back shift. He says that he writes poems. Direct speech with back shift. I write poems. Reported speech by back shift is become he said that he wrote poems. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what is no back shift and back shift. No back shift. Do not do not change the tense if the introductory clause is in a present tense. Example, he says. Not noted, however, that you might have to change the form of the present tense verb, third person singular. Example, he says I write poems. He says that he writes English. He writes English. Next, backshift. You must change the tense if the introductory clause is in a past. Example, he said. Example, he said I'm happy. He said that he was happy. Okay, now I'm gonna give you examples of the main change in tense. Okay, isn't it? Isn't it clearly? Isn't it well? When the direct speech is simple present, so the reported speech is simple past. When the direct speech is present progressive, so the reported speech is become past progressive. Example, simple past, he said I'm happy, becomes simple past. He said that he was happy. In direct speech, present progressive. He said, I'm looking for my keys. So in report speech is using past progressive. Example, he said that he was looking for his keys. And next, when direct speech is simple past. Example, he said, I visited New York at last year. So in reported speech, it's using past perfect simple. Example, he said that he had visited New York the previous year. Okay, and next, when the direct speech is past perfect. Example, he said they had finished the work when I arrived. So in reported speech, it's using past perfect. Example, he said that they had finished the work when they had arrived. And then when direct speech is past progressive, so the reported speech is past perfect progressive. If the present perfect progressive in direct speech, so in reported speech is past perfect progressive. And if the direct speech is very simple, will plus verb, so the reported speech is conditional would plus verb. And when the direct speech is conditional, so the reported speech is conditional. The modal verb could, should, would, might, needed, ought to, used to do not normally change. Example, he said she might be right. He said that she might be right. Other modal verbs might change. Can, I can do it in direct speech. He said he could do it, reported speech. May, may I go out in direct speech? And in reported speech, he wanted to know if he might go out. Must, in direct speech, she must apply for the job. In reported speech, he said that she must had or had to apply for the job. Will, in direct speech, they will call you. Will, in reported speech, he told her that they would call her. Number 3. Class demonstratives and time expressions. Place, demonstrations, and time expression change if the context of the report statement or the location or the period of time is different from that of the direct speech. In the following table, you will find the different change of place demonstratives and time expressions. Direct speech today become that day, now become then, yesterday become the day before, the days ago become the days before, last week become the week before, next year turn to the following year, tomorrow turn to the next day or the following day. Place, here become there, demonstratives, this become that, this become thus. Okay, the reporting questions. When transforming question, check whether you have to change pronouns, place and time expression, tenses, backshift. Also note that you have is transform the question into an indirect question. Use the question word where, when, what, how, of, if, or whatever. Types of question. It's the example. With question word what, why, where, how. In direct speech, why do you speak English? And in report speech is he asked me why I didn't speak English. The next question is without question word. Yes or no question. Do you speak English in direct speech? So in rewarded speech we can he asked me whether or if I spoke English. That's all the example of reporting question. The next is reporting requests or comments. When transforming records and comments, check whether you have to change. First pronouns, second place and time expression. Direct speech. Nancy do the exercise. Reported speech. You told Nancy to do the exercise. Direct speech. Nancy, give me your pen, please. Reported speech. He asked Nancy to give him her pen. Tenses are not relevant for requests. Simply use to or not to plus verb infinitive without to. Example: she said sit down. She asked me to sit down. She said don't be lazy. She asked me not to be lazy. For automative use to plus infinitive without to. For negative requests or use not to plus infinitive without to. The last is other transformation. Expression of advice with must, should, and ought are usually reported using advice or urge. Example: must read this book. Become he advised or urged me to read the book. The expression let's usually reported using suggest. In this case, there are two possibilities for reported speech. First, to run or statement with should. Example, let's go to the cinema. Become he suggested going to the cinema or he suggested that we should go to the cinema. Okay, that's all I have. Thanks for attention. I'm sorry for my mistake. Wassalam. Goodbye.